Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Thursday. Happy opening day of training camp. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. We appreciate you being with us. Thanks for your patience as we're off to a little bit of a later start than usual, but literally, I think Connor Murphy stepped off the lectern 25 minutes ago. We finished that up and ran right here. So it's been a busy hockey-filled day, so we've got a ton for you on this show. You're going to hear from Seth Jones. You're going to hear from someone named Connor Bedard. Never heard of him. You're going to hear from Luke Richardson. You are going to hear from us a little bit. We've got some news about the Blackhawks front office. We've got training camp lines, so tons to get to on this one. Before we do, please smash that like button for us. We'd appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page as well. Same deal on your favorite podcast app. Hit that follow or subscribe button, and please take 50 seconds, 50, I timed it, to leave us a 5-star review with some really nice words about us. We could greatly appreciate that and greatly use it. It's great stuff. And happy birthday to our buddy Charlie the Bacon Guy. Yes. I'm going to celebrate tonight by eating bacon.
Having bacon. It's the best way to celebrate a birthday.
I do that any day ending Y.
So it was a fun day at camp for many reasons. First of all, walk in. First thing I see is Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner. I shove them out of the way to get to the new donut and coffee shop that is open. It's called Raise the Cup.
Or
Raising the Cup.
Fantastic hockey connection of...
Yes. And then they had Do Right Donuts and Dark Matter Coffee. Mm-hmm. Then they had an entire merchandise booth of Connor Bedard jerseys, hoodies, pucks, everything Connor Bedard you can imagine. And then, there was hockey played.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, Greg, you got to the rink before we did, and you texted us and said, "Don't even try and park here. Go straight to the overflow lot." Yeah, they sold out of the free tickets for the fans. It was great to see everybody there. Great atmosphere. Like, it's what a difference a year and some lottery balls make.
Yep.
It's exciting to be at this point. It was great to be back at the rink, and the coffee and donuts coming in clutch. I feel like I am awake purely off of caffeine right now, which is great.
Yeah, I ordered an iced tea and they gave me an iced coffee. I'm like, wow, this is really bitter. And then halfway through, I'm like, yeah, that's coffee.
It's coffee.
And I was like,
it's training
like
camp.
Beavis.
It's training camp for them too. It's their first day.
It's the first day.
They're getting the kinks out.
I walking, driving up Jackson, and then just seeing people already crossing the street. I was like, all right, I'm not even going to try to get in the parking lot. You walk up, there's the sign on the door that today's practice is sold out. Just you walk in, and I walked in, and then Jamie and Danny were right there, and like, hey, Greg, look, the coffee and donuts. And I was like, this is why I have a podcast. Like, I am more excited about this than Connor Bedard, because this actually affects my daily life.
Yes, exactly.
What the team does on the ice really doesn't.
Yeah.
I got to be here no matter what. So this is good stuff. We started off day one, but the energy just felt...
It was palpable from everybody.
Even in the media room, everybody was a little more cheerful, a little more happy. I mean, it's like the first day
it's opening day. First day of school.
Everybody's happy to see your friends you missed all summer.
Yeah.
And usually by the second week, you're like, oh, God, I got to get up and go to school. But it just, this year already feels different, as it should.
Yeah.
There's no black clouds hanging over. There's no who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. It's, hey, we got some shiny new toys. We've got some optimism. Let's get going. Let's see where we're at.
It was a star-studded event. ESPN's Emily Kaplan was there, too.
Yeah, she was. The biggest indicator for me was this is the happiest we've seen Seth Jones in a while. He was kind of joking around and
he was
having
in
a good time.
Mood.
And,
much different than last year.
Yeah, it was just the whole – and, we were there for the first day last year, though. Yeah, no one asked him about that. I was sort of surprised. I actually had forgotten about it.
It's a non-issue.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, well, what do we see? Let's talk about on the ice. So basically what we saw was lots of dudes skating around. Mm-hmm. Today they worked on the defensive part of the game. So by design, there was not a ton of offense. So I wrote down the lines for the first session. They divided the team into two groups as camp starts, and they'll whittle down as the preseason goes on. These are in no particular order, just how I wrote them down, how I observed them. For Group A, you had Connor Bedard centering Ryan Donato and Tyler Johnson. Quick note, Taylor Hall has a lower body injury. Luke sort of said day-to-day, but he's like, we'll know more in a couple days. I did not love the way he responded to that question.
Yeah, they're still evaluating it, is what it sounded like he said today, which is not something that is encouraging on day one of training camp, that he comes in and says needs more evaluation, but hopefully it's nothing.
In fairness, if you watch that drone video that they put out yesterday, Taylor Hall was there in full gear, skating, participating. So he's not like he's in a cast or anything. So hopefully not a big deal there.
And Taylor Hall's not a guy that needs to get in 20 practices before the start of the season. So
no, but
I mean, it would help to have him there, but it's not something I'm gonna keep myself awake at night tonight thinking about.
No, but
it's also if
it becomes a couple of days,
if it's Monday, Tuesday next week, and we still haven't seen him, then it's like, okay, what's the deal?
What is the issue?
I mean, what we always say about Luke is if you listen carefully, he'll tell you stuff.
Yes.
And I was listening carefully, and I'm afraid he was telling us stuff.
We'll see.
Let's not overreact.
Yeah, let's not overreact, but it's also not absolutely nothing.
Oh, let's totally overreact. Isn't that what this is for?
Taylor Hall's season is in jeopardy.
Season over. There goes the cup.
Worst trade ever by that Davidson guy.
By the way, Jacob says, saw you guys there, was too nervous to say hi. That's weird. Say hello. I got a friendship bracelet today that we all did. We got to share it from Angela. And I met a guy in the hallway, and I said, what's your name? He said, Hoser. I go, that's not your real name. Your name's not Hoser. It's Jose. But we met a number of fans, so always feel free to come and say hello to us, of course.
I didn't get a friendship bracelet.
It's in my bag. We can.
You're hoarding them all.
Yeah.
You don't want us to be friends.
It's only one.
I get it.
We gotta share custody.
There's only one?
She made one and gave it to me. But it says CHGO on it, not J.
Jeez.
Apparently Jay's the only one on this show.
I was the one closest to the aisle. I had the aisle seat.
She was obviously a fan of yours.
Interesting.
What was the young lady's name?
Angela.
She was obviously trying to catch your eye because she had a Samuel Savoy. God.
Yes, she did.
She had a
that jersey was sweet.
Yeah, so obviously
from Gatineau, yeah.
Obviously, she was all Team J. So I don't blame her.
Can't blame her. Okay, back to the lines.
Yes.
Let's focus in here. I'm too caffeinated.
The all-important lines.
Reese Johnson, Paul Ludwinski, Samuel Savoy.
Fun.
Maybe not a great sign for Reese Johnson. Marcel, centering Martin Miziak, and what is Felchman's first name? Yuri, thank you. Yuri Felchman. Mackenzie Entwistle, centering Boris Kachuk and Joey Anderson. Whoa.
Sounds like an AHL
And then my prediction comes true.
Yeah, yep.
Jason Dickinson, centering Nick Foligno and Corey Perry.
I had that line too.
Works out great in NHL 23
good
for
call.
the record.
Good call.
And then the D pairs were, as I scroll through the old Twitter machine.
In Group 1.
Group 1 D pairs, Kaiser and Jones.
Yeah.
The evidence is piling up for Wyatt Kaiser making this team.
Mm-hmm.
Vlasic and Zaitsev.
Okay.
Del Mastro and Crevier. That's a lot of meat. Big manly men slapping meat on that one.
That's a tall, lanky line.
And then something named Ross McDougal and Andrew Perrott.
Hey, now that's Indy Fuel defenseman Ross McDougal
but you. I will say, keep an eye on Andrew Perrott. Right defenseman, physical, not overly big, but a thicker, like a stout, kind of a stocky guy. Could get. He's in an AHL deal now, but I could see him getting, if there's some injury problems, coming up and adding 6-7 minutes in a physical edge for the Hawks at some point this year.
Yeah.
Son of former Blackhawk Nathan Perrott.
Well, that
I
works.
believe number 46 or 49. I will look it up.
You might.
You don't have to.
You might need to see someone about that sickness you got going on.
If I'm right, I do have problems. I just can't find a picture of him in a Hawks jersey. That's the problem.
Does one exist?
43. Damn it. I was close.
Okay,
I was in the 40s. Come on.
43.
You're not as far gone.
The great Nate Dempsey.
That's right. And Colin Blackwell, who's also hurt.
Victor Svedberg. 43.
Yeah.
All right, what do we have for the Session 2 lines?
Session 2 line. The only one that really stood out to me that I think was worth noting was Lucas Reichel in the middle of Philip Kershev playing left wing and Andreas Athanasiou playing right wing, which I believe this person had as their second line yesterday. So I
Which
think
person?
that's me.
Right.
Yes,
right,
this
right.
person. I was pointing
For those
to me.
listening at home.
For the audio, I was pointing to myself. I think that's a good trio for those guys. Obviously, Athanasiou and Reichel had some chemistry, which Luke Richardson said that they're looking to see if it'll carry over from the end of last year to this year. And I think that's a good trio of guys to put together up front. Defensively, Nolan Allen was playing on the right side.
Interesting.
Along with Jared Tenorti was playing on the left. And then Kevin Korchinski and Connor Murphy were matched up together. So that'll be interesting to see how everything develops. It's day one. You know, these might be lines and pairings that only exist for the first 2 preseason games, but it is interesting to at least see starting off training camp where the coaching staff sees guys matched up and paired up, and how all those players can maybe complement each other.
I think these 2 groups are what we'll see the rosters for those first 2 or 3 preseason games when they have the big camp. You know, get these guys a little familiar with, so we'll see. But you could pick out the lines that, okay, that's probably going to be a line to start when the roster's cut down. My guess is the Connor Bedard group is the home game roster.
I wonder why.
And
I would think so,
The
yeah.
other group is the road game roster for those first couple of games. And we should mention that we were originally going to do a post-game show for that Saturday Minnesota game.
Not televised.
But it's not on TV, and we're not driving to Minnesota for a preseason game. No. So there will only be 5 post-game shows in the preseason.
We could just get an old AM radio and put it in the center of the room like the old days and just listen to the game.
Well, I talked to Joe Brand today, name drop, and said, are you going to be at that game? Because it will be on radio, and he said he's not going to be there. But had he been, we could have just thrown him on and gotten a quick game recap, but
that's true.
He won't be there, so there's no sense in us trying to break down a game that's on radio that probably doesn't feature anyone with.
We just need to all get fedoras with a little
press hats.
Little press hat.
Yeah,
that's
a good
press. Get a notebook and.
So if we have any listeners in Minnesota that are going to be at that game, if you can just point your phone and FaceTime us,
that'd be great
for all 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we can do a post game show.
Get a tripod. It'll
give us some
help.
commentary too.
Yeah,
that's right. So I mean, we got the lines. Not a ton to glean from one practice. A lot of skating, a lot of drills, but some of the 5-on-5 stuff was interesting and entertaining. But it's more about what the coaches and players have to say after practice, and we're going to get to that coming up next. But first, we're going to tell you about our friends at Ray Chevy.
Yes,
you should buy a car.
Ray Chevy.
Maybe a Chevy.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? If you are,
could be.
Then we've got some amazing news for you, because Ray Chevy in Fox Lake has just joined the CHGO team. We love them, and we're happy to have them. And we were talking with the team over there at Ray Chevy in Fox Lake, and they have this pledge called the Ray Price Promise. And it's a guarantee that the price you see online is the price you pay when you go into the dealership. We found in many cases, other dealers are going to raise the price on you when you come into the dealer. They're going to ask you questions that they know the answer is no to. Like, are you a recent college graduate? Are you a farmer? No. And in most cases...
Nolan Allen might be.
Yeah, exactly. He gets a discount.
So he'll get the discount. And that's when the other dealers will raise the price on you, saying the price online included limited rebates that you don't qualify for. At Ray, that's not the case. The price you see online is the price you're going to pay, with 0 add-ons to the price ever. In fact, Ray will do everything possible to find you additional savings for which will make the price even lower than what you saw online. And as one of the top-selling dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and save big at Ray Chevy, because they now have over 100 Chevy Trax models available, starting at $21,495. And now through September 30th, all buyers can qualify for 0% financing, make 0 payments until 2024, plus put no money down, and best of all, pay 0 hidden fees with the Ray Price Promise. Visit Ray Chevrolet in person in Fox Lake, or go to raychevrolet.com. Serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
When you drive down that new road in your new Ray, and you pull up to your porch and you're going to see that Factor meal kit box on there, it's going to be a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Fall is busy. Your kids are doing stuff. you're working late, traffic is worse than ever for some reason because, oh, God, it drizzled, God forbid.
Yeah, right.
You might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. We tried Factor a while back, and I've tried these meal kits before, and I'm like, it's so much cleanup, and I don't really know how to cook, and you're making me chop stuff. No, Factor is ready to go, and guess what? It's really damn good. I really liked everything I tried from them. So make sure you check them out. Adjust your stride this autumn without missing a step. Choose from 34 weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never-frozen meals.
That's a lot.
Ready to eat in 2 minutes.
Maybe we should get Connor hooked up with some Factor meal kits.
He wouldn't have to. He
Yes.
wouldn't have to.
He wouldn't have to
FaceTime his mom.
Yeah,
Figure out how to
yeah.
put something in the microwave.
Wouldn't have
for
to
2
lie
minutes.
about his cooking.
Yeah, check our Twitter. We're not going to play it on the show, but it's on the
Apparently,
CHGO Black.
you can
I
check
sent
out-
it to you guys in
Yeah.
Slack. Bleacher Report put it
Yeah.
up there from us, so
So
appreciate
Bedard's
that.
talking about cooking at home, and he's like, I just kind of made that up. I'm not really
I'm not
cooking
doing
at home.
it. I'm just effing with you guys.
Anyway, you can
Yeah.
level up with Factor to Gourmet Plus options prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. If you're looking for calorie-conscious options for some reason, try delicious, dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per meal.
Not enough.
With Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions, source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in their meals. Head to factormeals.com/CHGOHawks50 to get 50% off. That's code CHGOHawks50 at factormeals.com/CHGOHawks50. You'll get 50% off. All right, let's start getting through some of this audio we've got here. We're going to start with Seth Jones. And the thing that stood out to me the most from him was talking about how him and the other veterans on the team can kind of help start easing Connor Bedard in the league. How can they help him with his transition to the NHL?
I don't want to be
No, it's Seth Jones.
every day coming in on the negative train. I'm more of a positive guy, and
Well,
There you go.
especially, he's going to be, playing a lot of minutes for us, I can imagine. He's going to be playing against top pair, especially on the road, top pair D, top pair, top lines when it comes to centermen, good centermen on faceoffs and defensively. So, just told him to hang in there. He's obviously a special player. He's going to figure it out quickly himself. There's not a whole lot we could say, but, I think mentally, just to be smart about the way he plays. We're always there for him. We got his back, just like we have everyone's back on the team.
I like the note that everybody's got his back.
Yeah.
I like that Seth Jones says that. And Seth is kind of a hard dude to read sometimes. This is going to sound critical, and I don't mean it this way. And maybe it makes sense when he's just constantly torn apart every time his name is mentioned online. But he has like a bit of a standoffishness to him, or defensiveness. Not saying it's he's bad or prickly, but I think his default is like a position of defensiveness. And
Well, he's a defenseman.
thank you. But I think you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
That he's kind of
Beat me to it.
standoffish and a little guarded, maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like the way he was a little more open today. And just saying hey, he needs to know, go out there, play your game, and I've got your back, and Tenorti's got your back, and Foligno's got your back, and Perry's got your back, and do your thing.
Yeah.
And we'll help you with whatever you need help with. And I don't think it necessarily means we're going to fight somebody that messes with you. It's
They might.
whatever you need, we've got your back.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty evident, whether it's said or not by the organization and the roster. A lot of the success or failure of the next couple of years rests with, in part, Connor Bedard. So making sure his success is also the team's success, I think, is a big factor in that. But as we talked with Connor Murphy, as we talked with Seth Jones today, the feeling of last season's training camp to this season, it really just feels like everything's lighter across the board. There's no weight of impending, seismic trades or wondering where your teammates and your buddies are going to be going in the next couple of months. So I think Seth's mood seemed like a 180, and I think it was Tracy Myers right off the bat was just like, do you feel like better now being here that things are going to start going on the upswing rather than kind of when you came in and the first experience you had with Chicago was things going downhill very quickly. So I think for a guy like him, whose egg is a little bit harder to crack, I think it'll help him, be a little bit more approachable, be a little bit more open with, however the season is going, knowing that, look, like it's still probably going to be a little tough, more losses than wins, but at least as we're talking about it, as we're seeing it, there's more optimism. And I would venture a guess that mood and that optimism is leaking into the locker room too.
Yeah, especially for a guy like Seth who came here, then signed that big extension, and when he first got here, it was, hey, we acquired Seth Jones, and then we just got Marc-Andre Fleury and Jake McCabe. We're gonna make a shot at it.
Here's
and
a playoff run.
That blew up.
Maybe.
Second period of the season opener.
Yeah.
It went off the rails quick, and then the coach was fired, and then the GM is told to get the hell out, and all the off ice questions, and that was just a horrible season.
Disaster.
And last year was, it was a long season with a lot of disappointing results. Guys like that have been in the league this long, they don't care about rebuilds. They just want to win hockey games. And when you lose nearly every night, 2 out of 3 nights, it wears on you. So I think Seth sees the horizon and is like, hey, there's better days ahead. I'm here for 7 more seasons. I'm going to get to enjoy this. I'm going to see this through the end to where I'm going to get to start playing some really meaningful games here, which is what I envisioned when I signed here. So, yeah, I think he's got, some optimism, and rightfully so, and a lot of guys do. I mean, it had to be a treat for these guys in that first group to walk out on the ice and see the stands completely packed.
Right.
Like, they got to be going, what's going on? It's the first day of training camp. Bears players are used to that.
Yeah.
The spring training for Cubs, Sox even get a lot of fans at spring training because you get to leave Chicago during the winter.
Yeah.
Last year, if you had 5 fans in a game in the stands for training camp, it was a busy day.
Yep.
So that's got to be a big thing for a guy like Seth Jones that have been here for 2 miserable seasons to walk out and be like, wow, this is actually really fun.
And remember,
this is going to be good.
Jonathan Taves said on a couple occasions last year that he would reiterate to the newer guys on the team, like, there's no better place to be than here when you're winning, right? Like, the fans are rabid, they're on board, they're loud, every game is sold out. This is the best place to be when the team is good. And he, as he sort of grew into that different kind of leadership that he had to kind of adapt to, that was one of the key messages he delivered to his teammates before he left. So,
and like you pointed out on Twitter, what a great spot for them. Because with the turmoil of the rest of the teams in this city, for the most part,
Right.
and Blackhawks fans and Chicago fans trying to look to sink their teeth into something that's still young and fresh, they're going to have an opportunity to grow. The expectations aren't there. This is the honeymoon phase.
Right.
absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
And like we said yesterday, we joked yesterday, least dysfunctional Chicago franchise, September 2023. Raise the banner for the Hawks.
Yeah, right.
And who would have thought, right, 2 years ago that they'd be in this place? But when you hire good leaders, from Kyle Davidson to Jeff Greenberg, who we'll get to a little bit later in the show, to Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner, like really taking the reins of this organization and making real change and not just paying it lip service, but actually doing things. And look, we're going to hold them to a high standard if they mess up.
Right.
But so far, so good for this regime. And you win a draft lottery, and you draft and develop well, and you stick to your plan, and you, most importantly, are clear and honest with the fan base about the plan. Is we know it's going to be tough. We think If we stick with our plan, the payoff is going to be worth it. Please, please, please stick with us. We're not going to stray from this. I think most Chicago sports fans would love to hear that from the other teams. Instead, it's like, well, we're going to do our best to win the Super Bowl this year. Like,
Right.
Be honest. Be honest about it. I think honesty is a huge thing, and it's gotten them a long way. But for Seth Jones personally, this has to be the first season where he can kind of really breathe and be himself. And now he, I think, feels empowered to take more of a leadership role without Kane and without Taves. And I'm not saying that those guys were holding him back in any way, but they're intimidating presences. And he comes in that first year with all the turmoil, second year with all the criticism because of the way the first year went. Now he can really sort of settle into this leadership role, and I'm excited to see what he makes of it.
I'm not going to be surprised if this season is not only the best that Seth has had with the Blackhawks, but if it's up there with one of his best seasons. Because I think the way he finished last year and now coming in with kind of a new page of the Blackhawks story being written, he has an opportunity to really make an impact on that. So I'm not going to be surprised if he has one of his best seasons of his career this season.
And he said he worked a lot on his shot.
Yeah, he changed his stick flex. He's changing his approach. It's
less of a big slapper, more of a quick release wrister to get it through the traffic. He's going to be spending a lot of time on the ice at 5-on-5 and power play probably with Connor Bedard. And last time I checked, that's probably going to make a lot of space around Seth Jones.
Yeah.
So working on a shot, good move.
Yes.
So, yeah, I agree. I think the numbers are going to be a lot better for him in both ends of the ice. I think this will be a year where, the Seth Jones haters are still vocal. They're not, but there's less and less of them now than there were at this time last year. And I think at this time next year, there'll be even fewer.
I think there's a certain percentage that will never change their tone because they're just dug in.
Because of the contract.
It's almost an identity for them to hate Seth Jones.
Sure.
And that will never change despite the evidence around him. So you're talking about, playing with Bedard and being ready for those opportunities. Like the first drill we saw, Bedard's on the ice with Tyler Johnson, and he spin-a-ramas Seth Jones and puts the puck right to Tyler Johnson, and Tyler Johnson sort of looks and says, "Yeah, I got to start being ready for these," because it just kind of rolled to the boards, and then the drill ended, and Tyler Johnson you saw him kind of shrug and laugh because he's like, "All right, I guess this is something I have to be ready for again."
It's
now
not
that I'm
Jujar Kara
throwing
passes at you.
Right,
Be ready.
Be ready for a pass at any time. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, let's get to Connor Bedard, who spoke today too. I will say, the first NHL skill he has mastered is not saying anything during assembled media.
Yeah.
And again, the kid just wants to play hockey. He was asked, like, "Oh, have you checked out the city?" He's like, "Not really. I just hit the ice and I go home. That's pretty much my life." But he was asked about, and Luke Richardson was asked about this later. You'll hear about that too, how he plans on dealing with the physical play that will be thrown his way in the NHL.
I don't know. I mean, I've been hit a good amount, of course, in my life, and obviously these guys are bigger, stronger. But for me, it's just having my head up and being smart, and I can't go out there being scared to get hit. So it's not really something I thought about too much. Of course, there's guys if you're not ready, they're gonna get you pretty good. But for me, just taking hits when I need to, and having my head up and trying to not get hit too much. But it's gonna happen. It's hockey. It's a physical sport, so try not to think about that too much.
Yeah, he's not intimidated. He's not scared, and as Luke Richardson says later, he has passed every test he's been given with flying colors. I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, if there's anyone to be confident stepping into the next level up in their profession, it's Connor Bedard. Like he has done everything exceedingly well in the steps of his junior career and getting ready for this moment. He's ready for it. He's ready to step on the NHL ice. He could have stepped on NHL ice last year and have been totally fine. Like I don't doubt that at all. So he's ready for this step up in competition. the question was asked of Luke if, Bedard, getting his first taste of, playing in the NHL, playing against men, and how that's going to be. And Luke spoke about his thinking of the game is going to help him in that, not just physically, the speed, the physicality, everything like that, but the way he thinks the game, the way he spoke about the way he's built, kind of being compared to Sidney Crosby, about being, low and compact and being able to maneuver around the ice in a different way that's not going to get him in trouble. Like, physically, mentally, it just seems like Bedard has everything that is going to make the transition from juniors to best hockey league in the world as seamless as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Quickly, I know our guy Clout here has asked a couple times about, yes, we will be at training camp Tuesday. We'll be at training camp every day.
Yes.
We will be there. So you'll see us up at the top. Come and say hello. We'll be happy to.
Say hi, introduce yourself. We're not intimidating whatsoever.
No, awkward, but not intimidating.
Awkward for sure. Yes.
We may be more intimidated that someone's coming up and saying hi than you might be.
Exactly. We're just as weird about that as you guys are. So let's be weird together.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I first started to get to know Jay, he scared me a little. You have
Ice?
this, you kind of have the, like, when you talk, once you start talking, like, then you see how just nice and lovable. But just standing there, you have this very intense demeanor. I don't know.
Really?
I've told this story
I don't
before.
think I've ever heard that.
I've told this story before, and I love.
I'm
telling
also
it.
just scared to mess up every day on this
Oh,
job.
yeah, no,
so
for
that's
sure.
the other aspect of this.
We're all afraid.
I mess up every day on the show. Don't worry about it.
Yes, because we're just three a-holes that are just going to
Yeah.
completely rip you a new one if you screw
Absolutely.
something up.
Yeah.
I've told this story before, and I love telling it because of how uncomfortable it makes Jay. But a number of years ago, I was at an event with a friend at 670 The Score, and you were there, like, off to the side. I don't forget what it was exactly, but at this point, like, I think we had crossed paths a few times with Hawks Twitter and stuff, but we didn't know each other. And I was like, oh, I should go introduce myself. That's Jay. Like, I'm gonna go introduce myself to him. And I was like, and I don't want to bother him. He's, what am I gonna say to him? And I didn't. And then now we're here.
So weird.
Your reputation precedes you.
Was it an event where I was prying words out of Dave Boland?
No, it wasn't even a Hawks event. It was like it was something Bears. It was like football, fantasy football or something like that. But it wasn't something you were like working. You were just like there to the side. I could have, in retrospect, just gone over and be like, hey, it's Mario, remember? But I was just like, nah, I don't want to bother him. He doesn't have time for me.
No one on earth should be intimidated by me. That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
And by the way, if you want to see the entire Connor Bedard press conference, it will be on the CHGO Sports YouTube page.
Yes, you can get it in full.
About 4:15ish is what I'm being told. Sources tell me 4:15 CHGO Sports on YouTube, where you're watching right now. We'll have that whole unedited press conference of the terribly interesting Connor Bedard.
He is interesting,
right?
But Bedard is so hell bent on not making waves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like he doesn't. I think if it was up to him, he would never speak.
I would venture a guess to say if he could control his media availability, it'd be like once a month.
But I'll say this though, when Scott Powers revealed something about him today, and if you watch the full thing, you'll see it. Scott said Austin Matthews changed his shot several times during his career, and then Bedard kind of snapped out of media mode. He's like, he did? Like, do you really think he did that? And they almost had a conversation about it mid press conference. If you start talking hockey with Connor Bedard, I think you're going to get his attention. But it's this periphery stuff. I think he's just so tired of
I think
he's answered the same question 1,000 times.
I'm hoping and guessing that as the season goes on and there's actual hockey plays and games to talk about, we'll see him open up a little more, because he's just repeating himself over and over and over and over again, because he's being asked the same 8 questions over and over and over again. So when we can say, hey, Connor, what did you see on that power play goal?
Right.
They'll get a different side of him.
Yeah.
There's been nothing for him to talk about yet except his greatness.
Right.
And
he doesn't.
I don't think that's something that he'll want to talk about at all.
No, he's too humble for
like
that.
Jay, he doesn't want to talk about his greatness.
As soon as I find it, I'll talk about it. Anyway, there's some chat going on about Seth Jones in the comments, and I know we got some new viewers in here. Eric, mainly Eric Brannigan in there is talking about him.
Brannigan.
He says right now no one worries about Seth Jones because his contract isn't affecting the team. Wait until the Hawks miss out on a signing or major free agent extending someone because of his albatross contract. Fans will notice. I don't know. I want to be clear on this. Seth Jones's contract is not his fault. The guy who signed him to the contract is no longer with the organization. He's currently out of hockey. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not ideal, but to hold it against the player is frankly stupid. If your boss came to you and said, we're going to pay you CEO money, even though you're,
not a CEO.
You're in middle marketing, middle management.
Yeah.
Would you take it? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nobody will tell their boss, no, you're paying me too much money.
Right. And
Nobody.
And the market demands what the market demands. And Seth Jones at the time was clearly worth what he was paid. Is he overpaid? Yes. By $1.5 million, maybe? Maybe $2 million overpaid? But he's right there. I just because we have new people, I just want to get it out there on record since we talked about Seth Jones. Is he a number one defenseman on a championship team? No. Does it mean he sucks? Hell no. There's a million places in between sucks and number one NHL defenseman.
Yeah.
He is a top 4 on every team in the league.
Yep.
Yes, he's overpaid. Yes, the contract's too long. The GM is gone. It's done. So deal with it. There's no need for dragging the guy for simply doing his job.
The salary cap is not going to be a concern for the Blackhawks for this season, probably next season, and maybe even the season after that. Who knows? We'll see. But the number is also expected to go up. So $9.25 million or $9.5 million, whatever the exact number is not going to hurt, quote unquote, hurt as much in the next 2-3 years than it does or did when it was first originally signed. And is the contract something that now Kyle Davidson is going to have to navigate? Sure. If Seth Jones plays up to that potential, which I'm not saying he's going to be, right behind Cale Makar, but if he plays up to a potential of being, a guy worth around that much, it's not a problem.
Right. And by the way, when Seth Jones was on a good team in Nashville, he was a Norris candidate.
Yeah.
Zach just said it in the chat. When he's on a better team, he'll be a better player. It's weird. When good players play with other good players, they play good. Yeah, I'm not too worried about. And plus, here's something else to think about. You mentioned navigating his contract and the cap hits. We have a much better front office when it comes to that stuff. Like, you can't tell me Kyle Davidson and his team hasn't already planned out like 9 or 10 scenarios about what the 27, 28 salary cap and could, like, we have a front office with some foresight.
Yes. Finally.
It's not the front office that signed Seth Jones and just said, okay, we got him today. I'm only worried about today. Let's enjoy an optimistic start to training camp and this team we got on the ice. Let's worry about 5 years from now when we get there.
Yeah.
That's not our job. So sit there and lose sleep over the salary cap. I think the people in charge have those wheels in motion, and we're in good hands.
I mean, if Kyle Davidson has shown anything since he took over, it's that he has vision beyond the year right in front of him. And I guarantee you he has several plans if and when Seth Jones' contract becomes a problem on ways to handle it. If they have to buy him out 3-4 years down the road, maybe they will. To keep Connor Bedard, fine. He's got a plan. It's long-term. It's fine.
And plus, never underestimate the stupidity of an NHL GM.
That is correct.
Because somebody may say, we're a Seth Jones away from winning and take it.
He who shall not be named has apparently been interviewed already by other teams, so we'll see. The future's bright here, Greg. Would you agree?
It is very bright. It is so bright, we need shades. And we need shades from our friends at Shady Rays, because they have premium polarized shades at a very affordable price. Shady Rays is our favorite independent sunglasses company in the entire world, and their glasses are just as good, even better than any expensive pair we've worn. Their durable frames and extremely clear optics are perfect for your outdoor adventures, or maybe for just wearing the next time you're at a Blackhawks practice because it's so bright coming off the ice. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they're going to send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact. From building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime, Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, but you're going to, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. So there is no risk when you shop. And exclusively for our awesome CHGO listeners, Shady Rays is giving you their best deal of the season. Head on over to shadyrays.com and use the promo code CHGO at checkout, and they're going to give you 15% off any order with 2 or more pairs of their awesome polarized sunglasses rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
You know, if we have to continue to have this conversation about Seth Jones and his contract, I am going to need to stop over to our friends at the Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary.
Don't
to
tempt
get
me with a
through
good
these
time.
conversations. It is a Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary Thursday. I believe we were supposed to talk about who made us happy in Chicago sports this week, and I would say Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard stepping on the ice is always a good thing. It's always going to make you feel happy. Just like Sunnyside, your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your football and soon-to-be hockey seasons. No matter where you are on your cannabis journey, Sunnyside makes it easy with online ordering and in-store pickup. They have a great transparent loyalty program as well called Sunnyside Rewards. They have a ton of in-house brands to choose from. You got Mindy's, Good News, Cresco, High Supply, FloraCal, Wonder, Remedy, everything under the sun, under the sunny side. They can help you find. Through October 15th, head to sunnyside.shop and use the code CHGO25 at checkout. And when you do, you're going to get 25% off of your total order. That code is one use per customer and is not stackable with other promotions, but it's not only for new customers. Anyone can use that code. Again, that's CHGO25 when you go to sunnyside.shop. Must be 21 or older or an Illinois medical card holder.
Want to feel old?
Sure.
Just saw this from Aaron Portzline, who covers the Blue Jackets better than anyone. Brian Hedger's really good, too.
Does Rick Nash's son play for the Blue Jackets now or something?
Cole Sillinger has changed his sweater number from 34 to 4 this season in homage to his favorite player growing up, Taylor Hall.
I thought you were going to say Seth Jones.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's.
I still think Taylor Hall is young.
Well,
I know he's not
younger
but
than me.
Well, everyone's younger than me, but
He's 10 years younger than me.
Oh my God!
I saw a TikTok of someone was talking about how the old soundtracks on the NHL games were better than the new ones, and they played a song that was, I shit you not, from NHL 18.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, my sweet summer child." The NHL 2002 soundtrack.
Imagine
Throw
being
that
so
on.
young that you think 5 years ago was a long time ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago was like a minute.
Imagine being Connor Bedard.
NHL 01, for the record, I believe has the best intro. It had "Heavy" by Collective Soul
Yes,
in it.
sure. But I will say the NHL 02 soundtrack is filled with bangers.
All right,
04
fair
is
enough.
really good too.
You know what sounds like a great July 2024 topic?
Best NHL soundtrack.
24 NHL soundtrack draft.
Yes.
Speaking of music and feeling
100%.
old, you know you're officially old when you start singing the lyrics to every song you hear at the grocery store.
Yes. Or there's
That's
music.
my world right now.
There's music versions of songs you mosh
I'm
to.
walking through the aisles of the Jewels just like, man, I love this song. And then I go, this is the saddest
Oh,
day of my
boy.
life.
Oh yeah.
I am no longer hip. Not that I ever was.
All right. Now for
Not
the
you,
best
Greg.
part of the show.
It's the children who are wrong.
We love when Luke Richardson speaks.
Yes,
Because
I wish we had a whole second hour to the show just for Luke Richardson.
seriously, Luke is always giving us stuff. So we've got 2 longer form cuts here from Luke Richardson. The first one, he talks about Connor Bedard and his sort of like easing into the league and just kind of goes on in depth about the kind of player Connor Bedard is. So here's Luke Richardson just kind of waxing poetic about Connor Bedard.
I think he could have had 5 goals in that game in Minnesota, but he was very dominant. And I think now it's going to be another challenge to exhibition games here. And then as the exhibition games get to the end, we know the game gets faster and it becomes more complete rosters and it's harder to play, and that's another step. And then regular season games a whole nother level. So. But wherever he's come from, he's had that his whole life. People are waiting for him to not achieve what he's achieved, and he's not only achieved it but dominated it. So, this is the top and league in the world. So he's excited to be here. He belongs here, and we hope he just keeps growing. And we're not putting any limits on him or restrictions on him. We're just going to let him play within our team system and use his talents like he has in the past, and hopefully he just continues to grow.
What did you say? He's not a very big kid. Do you have any talks with him about just getting hit by some of the bigger? I mean, this is the first time he's going to be facing men.
Yeah,
so.
it is. But he's built like he's got the baby face, and a young grin and cool hairdo. He's young, but he's very mature beyond his years, and he knows what's going on out there. And he's built really low, wide, very much like how you describe a lot of Russian players skate, and very great balance on his feet. And I think he's kind of wired where he knows how to bounce off people that are coming at him and spin off like a Crosby and use that as a propelling thing. And I'm not comparing him to Crosby, but he uses a technique like that as not the biggest player in the world. So I think he's used to that. People are always aware of him. Like he's the type of rookie in any league that he doesn't come in quietly. Everybody knows about him. Everybody's aware of him. Everybody's seen him play, so they're ready for him. He's not like the rookie that sneaks in and has a great month and no one knows where he came from. So, but he's had that everywhere he's gone, and he's overcome that and done well. So I have all the confidence in the world for him to be outwitting and outsmarting his bigger opponents when it's one-on-one situations.
That calmness, that composure, it seems crazy for an 18-year-old to be that far, but I mean, I guess he's been doing this for so long at that level.
Yeah, and he's had high-level stages. Like he was on a team that wasn't built to really win in junior, but they kept him on their team. They didn't trade him away, and they weren't probably even really supposed to make the playoffs. They make the playoffs, they win the first round, go to Game 7 in the second round, and he goes to World Juniors and basically rewrites records. So he's just continually doing things where people question if he's going to do it. And I don't think it bothers him. I don't think he really hears the noise. I think he just is truly an honest, humble kid that wants to go out there every day and play and work.
Anders talked about how Connor changes angles and kind of marveled at that. What do you see in the shot, and will he have to make any adjustments at the NHL level?
I don't think so. I think he's got every shot. He scored from both sides on power play in Minnesota, and a real nice quick shot on the rush. So I think he's a smart player. He knows when to get shots off, where to go and get shots off. And the first goal in Minnesota was very much like a Matthews goal on the other side because he's right-handed, where he'll go down and you gotta respect his shot and honor that shot and the defense bit, and then he knows how to, like Anders mentioned, change his angle and he slides it to the inside. And not everybody has that mobility in the league, but he does, and he gets a shot off and great screen in front. So that's that balance I think I was talking about. Like he's got crazy balance. He bounces off things and propels and gets faster. And when he changes his angles, he's very shifty. And I think what he does is he knows his next move. And I remember coaching Mark Stone in Binghamton in the American League. Wasn't the greatest skater, but he was always known to be the great puck stealer. And I think he leads the league every year. It's not the pucks that he steals, it's what he does with it right after. He knows the play like before he even makes the steal, because he's not a quick skater to get away from anybody. So he steals the puck, makes the play, and so there's 2 plays in almost 1. And Connor's a little bit like that. I think he's changing his angles to move people around so he can make a pass or take a shot. And it's hard to defend because he's such a great shooter, but he has got great vision and makes good plays too. So it's hard to cover both. I'm treating him just like I would treat anybody else. And I think, what we count on is the veterans in the room and the tightness that we started to build last year to continue that. I think the peer-to-peer help is much more effective in this league. And I think the coach just needs to know and understand that, have good relations with everybody, but also have a good plan in place and a good environment for them all to feel like they can come to me if they need to talk to me. And that's a rookie or that's like a 38-year-old veteran. Either one, they should be able to feel the same and confidence in that to come into the coach's room at any point in time, but also to count on one another. And I think a special guy like Connor to give, I think the smart veterans on our team will love to hear his perspective of the game. Game's always evolving, and what does he have new that's going to come here and help us?
2 things. I love the whole thing.
Yeah.
But 2 things I love where he says, I think peer-to-peer coaching is super valuable, that he almost prioritizes, and you're going to hear more about this in the next cut about Lucas Reichel specifically, where I think Luke has a really good feel for hands-on, hands-off. Yep. When to talk, when to let the teammates handle it. He's got a really good feel for that. And just in the way that he said, maybe Connor Bedard can come in here and teach the veterans some things. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Because they're like, especially in hockey, everything is so defer to the vets. Oh, yeah. You're a vet. You're older than me, so I worship you. There's something to that. Connor Bedard can come in here and be like, here's how to change the angle on your shot. Mm-hmm. Literally everyone on the roster.
Right.
Try this, Lucas Reichel. Try this, Tyler Johnson.
Here's how to make a TikTok.
Right. Here's how to say nothing in an interview.
Yeah.
But like,
they all know how to do that.
It's just that is an angle I never thought of before, and for the head coach to say it, I don't know if Connor Bedard's going to hear that or not, but that's empowering to a young player to hear. Hey, the head coach says I can walk up to Nick Foligno and say, "Hey, I noticed on your shot. Why don't you try this a little bit?" Yeah. If I want to learn how to shoot a puck, who would I go to aside from Connor Bedard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On this team, no one else.
I don't care that he's 18. He's got something to teach me.
Yeah.
And let's say if Austin Matthews and Patrick Kane ever had or ever will have the chance to play together for a Team USA, don't you think it would make sense for an older Patrick Kane to go to a younger Austin Matthews and say, "Hey, how do you get that shot off like that?" Right? Like that's empowering for the players, and it makes Connor Bedard feel like he wants to part of the team, one of the guys. It's all he wants. Yeah. He doesn't want to be Connor Bedard and everybody else, and that just gives him this freedom, and not just him, everybody, to go up to a teammate and talk to them as a teammate. I love it.
Yep.
I love Luke.
I do too. I
love Lamp.
If Luke Richardson were to ever want a weekly 1-hour show on, say, a live
network
podcast that's just mere blocks away from his office, I know a guy.
Yeah. I know a few of them.
I would love that. Yeah. I would love that. All right, so next up, this is some really good stuff. This is Luke Richardson talking about, he kind of begins talking about how he plans on handling the season and his coaching style, and if he was going to make any changes to his coaching style. That was kind of the question that led him here. And then he gets really in depth on a specific incident with Lucas Reichel. It's really good. Incident's the wrong word. Nothing bad happened. It was good. But it's a specific moment with Lucas Reichel. So give this a listen. This is top-notch Luke Richardson. I love this.
I don't want to be every day coming in on the negative train. I'm more of a positive guy, and I think you show a couple things that you need to correct, but I think you have to show the things that we did well, and we got to do that more. I think that's more effective than beating down and showing 10 bad clips or clips that are execution. And I think we're going to grow, especially the young guys. And I just talked to Reichel at the end of practice today. I said, I liked your practice today. I thought, you're skating strong, you look confident, but we want you to use your skill especially just today was a defensive practice. Even defensively, we want you to use your skill and your skills, but we don't want you to be on your back foot and be the cool, like cut pass, and it's just practice. It's not summer hockey. So just making those little comments to them where like, you can do it, you did a great job on this drill, but then don't give it back to the other team. Skate, use your skating ability. It's probably your number one asset. Use it, and we want you to have the puck. And we play defense faster, so you get the puck quicker, and I'm sure that's what you want. And he smiled and agreed, and I think that's the kind of communication that we're going to need this year with a lot of the young players. And it can't always come to us. There was one D-zone clip today where I wanted to go over and talk to a player, and Nick Foligno was already there. And all the new veterans came in and asked, and we showed them the videos that we're going to show the first 3 days, so they understand it and they can help, and they're already doing that. So that's part of the leadership roles that we're going to need as a combined unit. And I asked Nick, I said, are you talking to him about the play? He's like, yes. So just making sure. I don't know what he was talking about. I could have been going for lunch, I don't know, but it was about the play that I saw too. So that's veterans that have 15 to 18 years in the league. They see it. They see it before sometimes the coaches see it. So that's going to be huge for us, and we're going to count on that.
With Reichel, how much are you looking forward to having a full year with him, and then the decision to start him at center?
Yeah, I think that's where he's kind of played most of his life, and we gave him a couple games last year there, and he had some good spurts, and I think it was more combinations, like to start to see if there's any chemistry still there from that we saw last year. And I think him and Khrushchev and AA had a great run for a while, and I talked to AA today. Well, maybe there'll be times that he needs to play center, but right now we're going to try this, and we might try something else later. But for now, I think seeing if Connor and Lucas can play those top minutes in the middle, we'll find out soon enough.
What sort of things are you looking for from Reichel to decide if he's a full-time center or not?
You know what? And I talked about with AA. A lot of times, like the way we play and the way anybody plays, there's a lot of changing on the ice. There's a lot of changing when the first guy back is down low. It could be the winger, and then there's a rotation in the D zone, and the winger goes down. Now he's the winger, and the center's got to fill a spot. So, I don't think there's. I think it's understanding that the center's got to be vocal out there, and Lucas is pretty quiet on the ice, and I know he's new, but he's going to have to get over that. And just like the young defensemen, we expect them to be vocal. I think those are the guys that are going to be loud on the ice and take charge, because the D backing up, they see everything. So they got to sort out the line rushes in the D zone, and the center's down low more than the wingers probably, and they're going to have to be talking on any kind of switches down low with defensemen. So for him to grow and be confident in his personality to talk to everybody and be a leader on the ice, whether he's 21 or 2 or 32, I think it doesn't matter. So we're hoping he takes a big step in that direction, and he looks confident. He feels confident out there, I think, right now. So we want to just keep building him up.
I mean, that's just hockey porn right there.
It's great. We've talked about it, especially in the last 48 hours, given the landscape of Chicago sports. But as a Blackhawks fan, as a Chicago sports fan, as every day goes by, the more the hiring of Luke Richardson feels like an absolute home run by the Blackhawks. And he hasn't even been in a position where he is expected to win games yet. Like, I just think that they have the right person to lead this group through this period of time, and I have no doubts it's going to get even better as expectations grow, as roster buildup changes. And the point he made about going through the video clips and wanting to make a point, a specific point about it, and then already Nick Foligno is there doing that. Nick Foligno, who is also on day one of being a Blackhawk, is there talking to, making those points already. That's why bringing in a guy like him and Corey Perry to this, and Taylor Hall, when he gets on the ice, I'm sure we'll have similar impacts with the group, with the young guys especially too. That is why these guys are here, to be able to be that like coach on the ice. We talked about it before about how, in Rockford, how much the coach on the ice aspect of things, Derek King, when he was the head coach there, leaned on. players like that. And we're gonna find that in the NHL this season. We're gonna find it with this team, and Nick Foligno is a guy that fits that mold perfectly, and that's what you want to see out of veterans.
Yeah, I think Luke's got his thumb on the pulse of when to be the hard-ass coach and when to let the players handle it themselves. And that you need that, as he said. Like, if it's just me in there all the time, they're going to tune me out.
Yeah.
But if it's Corey Perry coming over saying, hey, let's try this.
Here's how to be a pudwhack.
Right.
Listen up, son.
Here, take your stick. Jam it.
You want to go between the testicle and the thigh and lift.
Turn it sideways. Shine it up real nice.
I think, and having, and Luke's not a control freak.
No.
The situation we see with some of these other coaches, basically anybody who's ever coached in Columbus, they need to be in control of everything from day one. This is how we do it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm old school. Show me your phone. Luke Richardson's just like, hey, man, I'm going to put you in a position to see when I need to tell you something, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Until then, just do what you do.
Back in the day on the Score, we were talking about how this is how long I've worked there, how Ozzie Guillen used to manage. Mm-hmm. And we called it the slap and tickle, where you are critical with praise at the end.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, next time, why don't you try XYZ? You kind of screwed this up, but I love the way you're doing this and this and this and this. Yeah. So it's like you end feeling positive. It's kind of what he was saying is he went to Lucas Reichel and said, great practice today. You looked awesome out there. You're really getting the system. But here's a little thing, right? We want you to carry the puck more. We want you to be more on the front of your skates in the back. Like, we want you to be more engaged. Okay, cool. And Reichel knew. Like Luke said, like kind of gave an acknowledge and a chuckle and was like, all right, I hear what you're saying. Thank you for the message. Like that. And what coaches need to do is in this day and age of sports, you're more of like a manager of personalities than anything. And like, you're almost a psychologist. Like, how do you get through to these guys? And I think like when we talk about the Cubs, like there's a lot of people that have a lot of issues with the way David Ross sets a lineup. I got a hand up too, Greg. But he clearly knows how to manage personalities and keep guys happy and keep guys understanding and keep guys engaged. Like, that's a huge part of it these days because I think your average athlete is smarter about the game than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And they have a deeper understanding of the game because, let's face it, like so many kids now are specialized athletes, whereas, guys Greg's age, my age, older, we played every sport. Now kids are, like my daughter plays softball and all of her friends her age, full-time travel, everyone's full-time everything.
Yeah.
So they've been trained in one sport for so long that it's not so much teaching, it's more of managing the personalities. And I think Luke has that perfect combination of instant respect because of the career he had.
Yep.
The fact that he's on the ice skating with the guys, doing laps, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do that, but he does. That helps him feel like he's with them, right? He's not just preaching from on high.
Yep.
And understanding of how athletes' minds work these days. Like, the hire is just a home run. It's just a home run. And whatever he does when his team becomes good enough to compete and when Stanley Cup becomes an expectation remains to be seen. But for this job right now, I honestly can't think of a better guy for the job.
He's building up a lot of goodwill for when that time eventually comes, hopefully sooner rather than later. But what you want to see out of coaches is do not coach the instinct out of the player. And I think that happened with Jeremy Colleton. It's happening with another team in this city, apparently.
Yep, it is.
And
right brags.
I think with Richardson and the specific example of talking with Reichel, he's putting Reichel into the position of center at the NHL level, something he hasn't done or had the major expectation to do yet. But he said it. He said, Connor and Lucas are going to be our top two. He said it. Connor and Lucas are going to be the top two centers to start the season. What can they do? And for Reichel, his offensive game, his playmaking, his instincts to play the game that way in the attacking zone, don't lose any of that. That was a big message of him. But also use those instincts defensively. We want you to get the puck from the defensive zone and transition to offense quickly because you are able to do that very, very effectively. translate that defensively. Don't try and become the next Jonathan Toews two-way center, whatever. Be Lucas Reichel and just be able to translate what you do best with a defensive focus. And I think he's going to get it.
It's the good coaches, the great coaches in all sports, they are constantly evolving.
Yep.
Just case in point, I know it's a different sport, but like you can argue that every single one of those New England Patriots Super Bowl teams were completely different from each other. They had different types of player. There was the Randy Moss year where it was deep down the field, and then there was, you know, the Gronk year. Like Bill Belichick has had his shelf life because he's constantly evolving, and he is building his system around the players he has and highlighting their strengths and hiding their weaknesses, as opposed to the other way around, making guys fit into their system, i.e. Jeremy Colleton.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Duncan Keith completely change what he does because I said so.
Yep.
Well, that's why you didn't succeed. Where Luke, I think, will continue to evolve. He's got that old school hockey mentality, but he gets the new generation of players.
He thinks the game more modern.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's a good blend.
And I think he will keep evolving, so when this team gets good, gets more talent, he'll be able to all right, I can throw this stuff at you guys because you can now handle it. He's not going to give anybody on this roster more than they can handle.
Yeah.
When I think about great head coaches in sports, one of the first guys I think about is Greg Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs. 74 years old. He has been the head coach of the Spurs since 1996. And
it's amazing.
You want to talk about the difference between the NBA then and now?
Yeah.
That is a guy who over time has evolved as a coach, has adapted his methods, his coaching, the way he talks and communicates with players. That's what the great coaches do, and I'm ready to say Luke Richardson is the next Greg Popovich. No, I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, when you think about the great coaches in sports, very rarely are they the ones that, Mike Keenan, Torts and Babcock, they're stuck. They're stuck in that time and place where they had their initial success and will not veer from that path.
There was a reason Mike Ditka only won one Super Bowl.
That's right.
And didn't get very many other coaching out, I mean, the Saints were dumb enough to give him a job, but there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
He never evolved. You got to...
Pete Carroll's another good example.
Yeah.
A guy who's been coaching for a long time that still has the respect of his players and has evolved as a coach.
Yeah.
It's what you want to see. My one fear when Richardson was hired was, boy, he's such an old school player. I hope he doesn't coach the same way. And I mean, he's still learning on the job, but from day one, he has shown this willingness to accept. Instead of saying kids these days are different and everyone wants a participation trophy, he's like, what's different? He's curious, right? He's not bitter about it. He says, okay, I played in a different time and place. What do I have to do to get through to this generation? Just like his generation was different from Gordie Howe's generation, right? It changes over time. It's not bad. It's just different. And his ability and willingness and, again, curiosity to grow with this generation of players as they come, it's super encouraging. And I'd like to, if we ever get a sit down in here with Kyle Davidson, and hopefully we do someday, I'd like to ask him, what was the thing that separated Luke from the other candidates you talked to? Yeah. And I wonder how quickly he would say, that willingness to evolve and willingness to adapt.
It's a good quality to have.
Yeah. Greg Popovich, pride of East Chicago, went to Maryville High School.
There you go.
And
region guy.
Region guy. My mom taught in Maryville School Corporations, and my wife, her family, is related to Greg Popovich.
No kidding. Get him in here.
That?
Coach Pop in studio.
Yeah,
learn something new every day.
He hasn't reached out to us. He didn't give us a wedding gift. I ain't gonna hold any of that against him.
That's tough.
Hope the Spurs go 0-82.
Wait till he finds out we're related. He's gonna be none too pleased.
All right, that's a lot of hockey. We threw a lot at you. I know we went a little bit long, but it's day one of training camp.
First day of camp, man.
Tomorrow be slightly different. We're still at 3. There'll be an open locker room tomorrow, so expect fewer long form audio and more little short fire stuff. But we're going to talk to as many of these guys as we can. I really want to talk to Foligno.
Yeah.
That's a huge priority for me. So there's a bunch of guys we're going to talk to. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. As the day goes on, we'll be sending those videos, CHGO_Blackhawks, our personal accounts as well. I'm at Jay Zawoski. Greg's at Greg Boyson. Mario is at Mario_Tirabassi. I'm on Blue Sky. 3 of us are on Blue Sky.
And Threads.
And I'm trying
to be more active.
I'm trying to be more active on Blue Sky. I kind of gave up on Threads. I don't know why. There's never anything on my timeline I want to see.
It's good to have the account for when the next time that Twitter or X is about to die. And
good point. I have it. I just don't use it. So we're using it. But I hope you enjoy the show. There's more of this to come, and I think the 3 of us are a little bit hesitant to praise ourselves, but I think now that hockey's here, no one is going to cover this season like we are. There's no other sports outlet in this city that's going to dig in on the Blackhawks like we are. All of our shows here do great, but we're going to give you unprecedented coverage of the Blackhawks all year long. So please make sure you are with us. Make sure you're following us and all that great stuff. And follow us on all of our social accounts. I'm distracted because someone said news.
Yeah, I'll tell the good people where they can get a good beer. You guys figure out what's going on.
Okay,
here.
you do that. Yeah.
Goose Island, they have great beer, and they are the proud beer sponsor of us here at CHGO. They have been Chicago's beer since 1988 and have a wonderful year-round roster of beers that includes the Full Pocket Pills, the Beer Hug family of IPAs, the Golden 312 cans of their wheat ale, and of course, it is the fall. That means it's Oktoberfest. Get yourself all of these beers and more from the Goose Island family. You can find ultra-fresh brewery-exclusive beers at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can go to their tap room on Fulton Street here in Westtown. Again, that's the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. That's a big honk.
That's right. And if you're fired up for the Hawk season, get fitted out in the best sports gear around from our friends at FOCO. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. It is hockey season. Get your hoodies, your sweatshirts, your pajama pants, your slippers, everything you need to stay warm on a cool autumn night as you're watching the Hawks and Connor Bedard tear up the NHL. They've also donated FOCO some of our set decorations. We thank them for that. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in our description below. And for all non-presale items, use the code CHGO for 10% off. We have news on the NBC Sports Chicago broadcast team.
Interesting
Last
stuff.
year we had Kaylee Chelios, Pat Boyle, Charlie Romeliotis, and Scott Darling.
And Colby Cohen.
And Colby Cohen, of course. This year, Pat Boyle returns for his 12th consecutive season. Studio includes this year Kaylee Chelios, Chris Chelios, Tony Granato, John Scott, and Dennis Savard.
Hey, now.
Like that.
Now, whatever you feel about any of those names in particular, that is certainly an upgrade.
It's a little bit of everything for everybody. You got, the family duo of Kaylee and Chris Chelios. You got former teammates, Chris Chelios not teammates. They were traded for each other, right?
Yes,
Chelios and Savard.
But they were teammates when Savard came back.
That's true. Yes, second go around of Savard teammates. You got John Scott, who is a opinionated and polarizing guy, one-time Hawk. And you got Tony Granato, who was on the coaching staff. Yes, So he was on the coaching staff with the Blackhawks recently. So
Chicago family, Granato's
Granato's a big local
area,
family.
so,
Yeah, and you got Pat
he's
Boyle
the
too.
second best Granato.
Yeah, it's
true.
That's a really good group. So if you want to get
you can
your
yell at him about the Badgers when you see him at the rink.
I will. Blame
He
him.
was not a Hawks
Blame
coach,
it.
by the way. Don
Blame him.
Granato was a Hawks coach.
Granato, yeah.
Oh, it was Don.
Tony was with the Avalanche, Penguins, Red Wings, and Team USA, and Wisconsin.
So I said you can yell at him about the Badgers.
I got Tony and Don mixed up.
That's all right.
Yes. Okay. So Don Granato was a former coach. Tony Granato is who I blame for the Badgers not being a prominent college program anymore. All right. So never mind. Not something good for everybody.
He'll be around now. You can push him down the
Tony.
stairs.
Yeah.
Charlie Romeliotis will also be there. That was not in Jeff Agrest's tweet, but he is here in the official
Who's
press
that?
release.
I have no idea who that is.
My buddy.
Is that the guy with the hair?
Yeah, with the hair. That's
Okay.
right.
The hair.
That's right.
The hair and the beard.
He lights up a room, doesn't he?
Sure does.
We love Charlie.
I love Charlie. All right, we're back tomorrow at 3. Thanks for being with us. We love y'all. Thanks for listening. And now that the show's over, you can go to our YouTube page and watch the full Connor Bedard press conference from
Get the
today.
full Bedard.
Check out the funny comments he made about cooking or not cooking. Link in the description, according to Law. Thank you, Law. Thanks to Greg Braggs. Also, we should shout out both these guys.
Yeah.
We were sending in video like with 10 minutes before we were on the air. It was a lot of stuff, a lot of editing needed. So thank you to both Greg and Lawrence for their help today.
Good job.
The show would not have been what it was without them.
All
So thank you,
all
fellas.
the credit to Lawrence, but I do like to take all the credit and none of the blame.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, it works.
So anything that goes wrong is Lawrence's fault. Everything that's good is Greg's.
You
Love
got it.
We signed up for that.
Sounds
All right.
about right.
We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.